Hi, my name is Jerry O'Connor. I'm a violin maker, repairer, restorer, and I'm going to repair a bow here today at my bench here in Ravensdale, County Louth. Right, so that's the bow. That's the bow now. All the thumb grip and the silver off it. We'll just clean it down with a little light touch of metal lead spirits. There's no shortcut in it. The front of it must always be full width of the hair, or else the hair gathers either side of it. The hair goes into the frog, and the wedge is put into it, and then it pulls the hair around. So again, it must wedge itself in to fit on all sides. You get an idea of what's going on. Just for convenience, it just sits better, maybe less chance of the knot should never open. Right. There we go. One bow rehearsed.
McNamara. Please remember this name. He's a future star. He's excellent and he's great personality as well. He's my little buddy.
I remember going home from school and always just going straight to the piano, dropping the bags and everything, going straight to the piano. I kind of knew it was always what I loved more than anything else. I did realise that once I came back to London, I had quite heightened anxiety levels. And there was obviously going to be fears again, like, oh, am I still ready? Am I still not ready? Or, you know, because, you know, my dad was obviously a great pianist, great musician. He was on the Late Late Show for like 20 years or something. Frank McNamara is his name. And also, like, the more you learn, the more you kind of improve as well, the more, like, kind of techniques you learn. And I feel as though as the years have progressed, I've matured as a person as well. So now I'm definitely ready to be back in London, and, you know, it's a great place to be as well. Like, it's where everything's at, you know, music-wise, and, you know, it's great timing, I think, now.
So my name is Max. I am a personal trainer. I'm newly qualified from about a year ago, so now I'm up and running. I run weekly classes and I do one-to-one training for anybody of any age, and just help them on their fitness journey. I wanted to start the business because I had lost my part-time job during COVID, and it was a case of it was now or never. Oh, definitely. I had periods where I wasn't allowed to run my classes because of the COVID regulations. So definitely in terms of being in a one-to-one setting, scenarios like that, yeah, definitely did impact it in a negative way. Do all your research, look at your competitors, see what they're doing, you know, and I think you need a passion for it. So I think you know, you really need that to drive you for, you know, through the challenges. You know, it's not plain sailing, you know, and there's going to be obstacles on the way. But I think if you have a passion and you feel it's your purpose, you know, you'll do okay.
I'm Julie Maluska, and I'm doing illustration in Stillorgan. I would say that I'd look at the world differently a bit because of the fact that I do art and because of my art, or sometimes like I look at something and I'm like, oh, I can sort of take that into my art. I'd like to say that I got inspired by comic books, but it's not very comic book style. And when I was younger, I wanted to do sort of like an animation style too. I'd probably, I don't have a dream job, but I'd like to just have enough income from art to where I don't have to have a regular job and I can just sort of live off that with, you know, like someone or something.
My name's Chris Casey and I'm a student in the animation course here in Stillorgan. My art style is still very young, I'd say. I haven't found a distinctive style. I suppose by a product of my lack of experience and newness, I use a lot of saturated colors, have a strong sense of line. I don't have such a great sense of proportion or volume still, so I struggle with that. And I think that holds me back from having a distinctive style that I settled in.
I'm Fathia Latis and I'm doing animation.
What and with what materials do you create your work?
Ever since like the beginning of the year, I've been trying to use more materials, if you know what I mean. So like different types of paints, not just acrylics or watercolors. I'm going into like gouache and oil paints. I've been trying to use charcoal and Conte sticks because they're very messy, but if you use them properly, you can get like nice effects, which I'm glad I've learned.
Hi, my name's Kira Lily Farrell and I study animation here at Stillorgan for further education.
How would you describe your art style?
I don't actually really have one. I kind of vary between things depending on what inspires me that day or who I've looked at. So like for a time being I was very obsessed with anime, so I did a lot of anime styles. Now I'm not really as massively into that. I do a lot of styles from Vincent van Gogh. I do a lot, just generally whoever I'm looking at.
I'm Marius Pechukonis and I'm from Lithuania, and I'm one of the owners of this little shop called Magne.
How does it happen that you have your own business and how did it all start?
It was like always Agnes' dream to have shop, and yeah, at the time we started together. And of course, like before, it used to be different business here. We knew the owner. We started like from one shelf maybe at start, and it was like 10-12 years ago. So yeah, slowly, of course, we liked it. We did a lot of non-sleeping nights and so on. And yeah, now we have this.
My name is Tunde Hassan. I'm a personal trainer. It was a weird one actually. So basically what happened was I grew up in Ireland, and when I lived in Ireland I never trained. Like training wasn't really something I did. I used to be very active. I used to play a lot of sports when I was younger, but as I got older I stopped playing sports. As when I got into uni, stopped playing sports, partying took over, and when I finished uni, I moved to London. I moved to London when I was 22. And when I moved to London, I literally knew nobody. I knew absolutely nobody. So I thought to myself, what's the best way to socialize and get to know people and stuff like that? So I just thought, let me join a gym. So I was in London by myself. I decided I need to meet people. Let me join a gym. So I joined the gym, started training, and I just started seeing crazy results, you know, and I just loved going to the gym. I met people, made friends there as well, of course, and I just started to enjoy training more and more as I progressed in it. So after a while, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to do my personal training course. So I got my level 2 and 3 PT qualifications, and that qualified me as a personal trainer. And I just started personal training from there.
I came from Malawi, the warm heart of Africa.
I'm originally from Zimbabwe. I was traveling around the UK in 2000.
I am originally from Malawi, and I have lived in Ireland since 2012, and that is making it 9 years, should be 10 years this year now.
I'm from Malawi, and I've been living in Ireland for 20 years now. Yeah.
I came to Ireland to study. I saw some adverts on the newspaper that they were recruiting students from Malawi to Ireland. So when I saw it, I was very interested, and I went to one of the meetings and I enrolled myself in a course, and it was very easy because Malawi at that time it was visa free.
They were offering cheaper colleges then. So in 2012 I came here as a student.
Well, I chose Ireland as a destination because I think there was a time when my friends came over here just for holidays and came back and spoke good about Ireland. And again, I think that time, there was a shortage of labor in Ireland during that time. So they used to send agencies over to Africa to recruit from there. So some of my friends were actually recruited then, and during our communication, they actually managed to entice me to actually come over as well and look for those opportunities.
Have your school been given a lot of flexibility around the matter of COVID-19?
Well, at the start they did. We were first given a lot of time off. We were given extensions on assignments or essays, but they eventually cracked down on that once the restrictions were being lifted up. They handled it well in some capacities, others not so much.
So I know you have a business, and I was just wondering, how has COVID affected that?
Well, when the pandemic started, we were always very, very busy in the studio. And basically, when COVID hit, we had to shut down. And when we shut down, then basically everything just stopped. And when everything stopped, obviously, you know, there was no money coming in and stuff like that. Obviously, we had the pandemic unemployment, but it basically affected our business as being a tattoo studio because we're one-on-one with people. So anything with kind of unnecessary, you know, close quarters with people, that was basically we had to stop then, basically.
So you were going to play at an event just before COVID started. What was it like? What was your experience when the event was cancelled because of it?
Well, it was kind of strange because it was actually supposed to be my kind of first show, but at the time I was working with someone else.
Was there ever anything like this when you were growing up?
Yes, in 1950 there was a big polio epidemic, and nearly half of the world did get it, and it killed an awful lot. Most they were all kids who got it, and nearly 75% of them died from it.
So has it affected your life in a significant way?
Yes, it has. I couldn't get outside the door. I was afraid to go out. I didn't like wearing masks, and although I had
halfway through Lamin at the moment, or more or less halfway through?
I'd say 2/3.
2/3. How's it been this year?
It's been good. The weather has been very good up to the last few days, but you'll always get, it's been a good a good few losses. There'll always be losses for various different reasons. As someone said, where you have livestock, you'll have dead stock. But that's just a fact of life, a fact of farming life.
Do you struggle to, you know, when you see a lamb dying or you lose a young?
Well, you do struggle, but you kind of get used to it, I suppose. You become a bit immune to it, which it's maybe not nice, but you have to. You couldn't. You can't just get down, or else you'd lose your marbles.
I was always interested in music from a young age. Like the first artist I was a fan of was Lady Gaga, and then I became a fan of like many other musicians in the pop music world. My name is Mark McDermott, and I study songwriting in the BIM Institute in Dublin. I release music under the name Romeo Red. That's my stage name. I'm very passionate about music production and songwriting specifically, and I'd like to create music for myself under that name, Romeo Red, and also for other artists in the future. Music to me is an escapism in many ways, but it's also very much something that can uplift me and can make me feel better throughout my day. Most people listen to music every day. I definitely always do. As a creator, it's so great to be able to create different sounds that make people dance or make people sing or people can relate to. I just love doing that, and I find it really fun to just be creative on my computer and come up with different sounds and try to create songs that I really like and enjoy. My creative process with songwriting is usually I hear an idea either in my head. I just come up with an idea for like a melody line, and I like to expand upon that.
So that song I was playing earlier that translated into this track, this actual song here, with all the instruments in it, that originally started out just in the key of G. So and I stopped there and thought, well, hang on a second, this is a loop in my head. This is a loop song, a loop melody. I wanted to go round and round and yet people not being bored with it. So how can I do that? So if I just played a C directly after a G, I get a kind of a flat note. It's final. But by adding in an E, I get a suspended kind of a feel. So the song then moved to this. So the only place that wants to go is up. And up is an F. And then I go back to my original note, G. And suddenly, I found myself in a loop, almost like a hobbit, a continuous loop going around and around. But I wanted to vary the melody to keep some interest in it. So what do I do? And do that again. Instead of doing, I shifted those two notes up by 2. And I get a different feel. Back to the original loop.
Hi, my name is Hector Castillo. I'm really happy to be here. I will be talking about first about my musical background. I was born in Venezuela, and since very young, I started listening to all sort of music in my country. My country is very diverse when it comes to musical styles and all that. We got Latin music, but we also got a lot of influences for America. From the United States, and so we also got rock, got blues, got soul. We got all different type of music, along with all sort of Latin African music as well. The blues is basically a call and response that happens between the person and the instrument he's playing along with.
And then I got lucky. When I was 16, I met a guy who collected CDs. I think at the moment he has something like 20,000 CDs. And he kept pushing new music on me, and it just expanded the boundaries of my musical taste. Being forever grateful. Just when you sit, everything comes together. Everything in your head. Because music swamps your head, and everything else is put to the background.
So bad. It's been a while. It's been a while. Oh. Yeah, good to be here. Thanks for having me. I remember setting. It was like the first time I'd had like a massive group of people over to my house, and we're like, so yeah, we're just gonna film this movie. Don't worry, it'll be fun. It'll be great. And then they're like, okay, so people start showing up at the door. I'm like, okay, so we'll do this, and then we make a plan. And then more people come. We're like, we have to tell everyone what's gonna happen. And we're like, okay, let's just make it up as we go. I was bits here and there. I was one of Thanos' minions, and then I was what else was I? I was a Vietnam Vietnamese guard outside the shed. I was two, and then I was a dead body. I was a dead body just placed either just to fill the scene because we're low numbers. It came out better than I thought, to be honest, because I remember when we were doing this, I was like, oh, this is fun, but how is this going to come out? Yeah, it flowed. Yeah, I mean, there was scenes where the ones I was in, I was like, oh, I'm kind of just running around. So I guess there's a lot that I wasn't a part of. Like the training montage and stuff, I didn't really know what was going on there, because I was just in the background. Yeah, it was funny. But man, everyone grew their hair out, everyone has no hair in that. Most people, yeah. I mean, then, yeah, obviously I go to college with some of them. Everyone was there in school, still hang out with them now and then. Yeah, I'd say yeah, mostly. To be honest, I thought we could, I was thinking, obviously because it was a sequel, we had a lot more people working on it. The first one was just kind of like it was a history project in fourth year. And then we were like, oh, it was really fun, let's just do another one, try and get as many people into it as we can. So, I never expected anything big, but I just wanted to just have fun with it, to be honest. Yeah. And it was, so it was a fun day.
There was maybe 15 people there trying to make Maximum Prejudice 2, opposed to the 5-ish making Maximum Prejudice 1. So you end up with a lot of kind of filler because we wanted everyone to be in the film. Because, they spent their time to be there to be in the film. So obviously we didn't want to just dump any of them.
We live in a digital age. Over the past 100 years, the development of computer technology has been one of mankind's greatest achievements. The ability to solve difficult mathematical equations and sort large amounts of information, jobs that previously would have taken groups of people hours to achieve, is now possible at the simple press of a button. However, one of the most interesting developments, in my opinion, when it comes to computing technology, has been its use in entertainment, whether that be in movies such as special effects, or more important to today's topic, video games. Video games have always been a polarising topic in the eyes of the public, with some seeing them as wastes of time destroying the minds of our youth, and others seeing them as a vital escape from the stresses of everyday life. A way to be enveloped in a world that is miles different to our own. Over the years, many consoles have hit the market to fulfill this need, whether it be Nintendo's entertainment system or Sony's best-selling PlayStation 2. However, to me, there is only one console that defines my generation, and that is the Xbox 360. Now the development and subsequent release of the Xbox 360 is shrouded in a fair amount of controversy. So today I'm going to tell that story and explain how a little box made of plastic and a couple hundred wires was able to capture the minds and culture of the mid to late 2000s. Before we discuss the Xbox 360 itself, it's important to see what led up to its release. The Xbox 360 was the predecessor to this thing, the original Xbox. It's a tad dusty. But now where did the other 359 Xboxes go? I don't really know. This thing was released in 2001 and was competing with Sony's aforementioned PlayStation 2 and Nintendo's GameCube. It was developed by a small group of computer engineers at Microsoft, and for a first 14 consoles, it didn't do too bad, with 24 million of these bad boys being sold in its lifetime. It was the first console to feature a truly successful online service, a feature which would carry over to the Xbox 360, and its success can largely be attributed to two games, Halo Combat Evolved and its sequel Halo 2. However, in comparison to the PlayStation 2, it was completely blown out of the water, with that selling well over 155 million units. So as early as 2003, Microsoft was already working on the Xbox's replacement, the Xbox 360. The development of the Xbox 360 was shrouded in mystery, with Microsoft teaming up with many notable companies such as IBM and ATI.
That photograph is one of the very first ones I took that was on the west coast of Donegal. I thought it looked lovely that morning. I took the photograph, and now I look at that photograph and I think, oh God, that's awful. I would hopefully be able to get a lot more interest into the photograph if I was to take it now than when I took it at the start of my journey. As far as I remember being a child and asking for a camera from Santa, long before digital photography was ever invented. And then I used to do a bit of art and bit of watercolour painting and oil painting. And then I suppose it was really only around 2009-10 that I started giving any time to it as a hobby. But I would have to say now I would prefer the photography by a mile to what I used to do. I think you probably see results quicker. And maybe that's part of the world that we're living in now, where we want instant gratification for everything. Whereas you can go out on a day and you can get, if you're lucky, a few photographs, whereas you're never going to turn out a few paintings on a day. I started off with landscape photography, and landscape will always be my absolute love and go-to. The light is everything, and you watch where it falls, the shadows it makes or it doesn't make, and you can look at a scene 10 times in a row and it will look different on the 10 times. But if there's nothing interesting in the photograph, if there's no impact or if there's no story there is nothing there really as such. You have to be really conscious of how you compose your photograph, what you're trying to say with it, where you're trying to lead somebody who's looking at your photograph. Do you want, if you want to lead them into the middle of the photograph to look at something or to the side of it, you have to be conscious of the journey that the viewer's eye is going to take through the image. It's just a typical wild West Coast landscape. You have the wind, the waves and the rocks and the light that comes between clouds.
So my name's Nolene. I play Camogian football, Gaelic football, and I've been playing ever since I was 5 years old to this current day. In Camogie, I play left half forward, and I love that position very much. I think I finesse it and I thrive in that position. And then in football, I play half back, and recently I've been venturing into goals, which I don't know how I feel about, but we live and we learn. In the times that I have had to be in goals, there's never been a penalty in 2 years on my team until I was a goalkeeper in playing goals, of which I experienced my first penalty. In PG terms, I was terrified and my heart did drop and I missed it. The second time I was in goals, I experienced another penalty, which was non-deserving for the other team, and I again missed it. But you know, now I feel like I've kind of learned and I could take on a penalty. I do have the thought at the back of my mind saying it would be really great if I blocked it, because it would make the team go wild of my successes. I have football on Mondays, Camogie on Tuesdays, football on Wednesdays, Camogie on Thursdays, and then I have 2 matches on the weekend. But now they've switched it up where we're having a match on Monday and then training on Tuesday and then training on Wednesday, and then I'm assuming a match on Thursday as well, if not the weekend then. So about 5 times a week I'm playing sports. When it's a match day, I can fit some study in the morning, but when I have training during the week,